I wish I'd had more time to prepare a proper analysis on the costs and benefits of your proposed union, but I suppose we'll have to improvise. I certainly hope you don't mean to undercut the value of due diligence. This is very hard for me. Do you have any idea what that would cost? Why, drawing up the budget alone is going to take weeks. Come now, this is no time for one of your jokes. Is the only choice here between fighting and starving? We've got to be practical. You actually read my report. This feels more like an assault than a negotiation. You did a strange thing with your eyes just now. Is this all supposed to mean something to me? I'm confused. The look on your face does not match the words you just said. Truly, a compromise? I'm not sure I'd ever have heard as much from Graham. You said that with a very ominous tone just now. Was that intentional? Now, there's no cause for rudeness. I had no idea, I swear. Look, we were both fed up with corporate leadership, but I never guessed he'd do something like that. So forceful. You know I love your little displays. Very well. I suppose my ignorance is no excuse. For what? Graham was a rabid canid. He may have fooled me, but I wasn't the only one. You know, I felt the same way years ago, when he first left. There was something magnetic about him that let you ignore the things you didn't want to see. This shall be good practice for working with the board, I see. Still, anything's cheaper than war. You have a deal, Sora. Thank you for brokering this arrangement. You know, I don't think you're taking this seriously. I knew Graham for years. I should have done my due diligence and known exactly who I was working with. Surely you know what that's like. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'll need to sign a physical contact waiver first. As am I. Oh, I can feel my blood pressure lowering already. This feels like one of those times when everyone at headquarters but me is laughing at something, but you two aren't laughing. What? That's not possible. Even for him, that's going too far. I certainly didn't think so at the time, but now that you mention it, By the void, that's just what Celia would say. But surely you know what that's like. Perhaps I'm being hasty. After all, I'm rather good with numbers. I'm certain we can find a way to make this work. But that means, if you'll excuse me, just make sure it's properly logged. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit? The adjutant herself? Why, I knew the board would see reason eventually, but this... This! You'd head south along the road and look for a mountain to the west. Not that I'd advise it. It's a terribly dangerous trek. What can I do for you? Oh, yes. I'm going to be up all night with this. All those blanks waiting to be filled, boxes waiting to be ticked. But I see you've met Nyoka. Anyone can get you there safely. It's her. I'm listening. Celia is taking notes. I knew there was something going on. This is exactly the proof we need. The board will have to welcome us back now. You think we're the problem? Have you even heard the nonsense Graham is spewing? What a question! Bureaucratic micromanagement is the only way anything gets done in Halcyon, and proper documentation is a key part of that. See, Celia? He gets it. I told you he would. See, Celia? She gets it. I told you she would. I have reason to believe that one of the other corporations is operating on Monarch. Illegally and in secret. If someone is operating here, then Catherine's almost certainly supplying them out of Fallbrook. Perhaps she could be convinced to tell you where they are. And a sense of humor, too. Did you hear that, Celia? But that's exactly what this is. The world isn't changed with guns and speeches, much as Graham and his followers would like to think, but rather with meticulous documentation. But that's terrible. What happened? I'm glad to hear you've dealt with them. They've been causing quite a bit of trouble around town. But that means we won't be able to log their testimonies. I don't suppose you've found the targeting module yet. I've sent patrols, but they're running into trouble with the iconoclasts. Well, because the module controls the weapons systems. Because once we mount them on Stellar Bay's walls, no Marauder or Raptidon will ever be a threat to us again. Look, Celia, he's being funny again. Look, Celia, she's being funny again. Excellent. At last, we have what we need. Right. I'll lock the south gate to keep them out. You'll have to approach from the north. Good luck. Well, aren't you unpredictable? It lends you a certain air of mystery. Ooh, that's very good. I wish I could help, but I've never been very good at making presentations. They're all mad. And what's more, they left us. I don't see any way for us to work together. Nonsense! I value original thought. That's what makes MSI different, after all. Supposing you're right, who exactly would you have me work with? The iconoclasts are not the most compromising sorts. Oh, how do these things ever start? Once upon a time, Graham and I saw the same problems with MSI. A rigid corporate structure with no regard for its people. That's an interesting suggestion. I confess I don't know much about her except that she worked for Rizzo. I'm afraid not. Most of them left Stellar Bay under some notion that any corporate organization was tyranny. If their leadership is gone, there'll be no controlling them. I'd be willing to consider it. But I'd need to see her review first. Excellent. Her review would be in the Rizzo offices in Cascadia. Bring it to me, and I'll see if she's qualified. All right. I'll have Celia organize a meeting in neutral territory, the old OSI church in the ruins. Meet us there, and we'll discuss terms. One can't be haphazard about these things. I can't believe it! Not that I'm really surprised, but, well, maybe a little. You did it! I mean, we did it! Oh, I certainly will. Of course. I don't mean to undercut everything you've done for us. Anyhow, thank you. And good luck to you. Right. Now, see here, you may tell your corporate masters that we will deign to rejoin them on the board, but only once certain conditions are met. You're here because the board has finally recognized our potential and is welcoming us back with open arms, right? Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me, but not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself? I only hope you don't judge me by my handshake. Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. But if you're here for him, I suppose that means you aren't here for Saltuna. What a charming notion. One doesn't meet many free spirits in Halcyon. Not outside Tartarus prison, anyway. Forgive me, I'd be positively enraptured. Only I take it this means you aren't here for Saltuna. Now, what business brings you here? But I'm sure you didn't come here to trade witticisms, No, you're here for business. Why, we've got the numbers on our side. What more could we need? Though I take it from your appealingly gruff demeanor and blunt charm that you're not actually here to welcome us back to the board. Or purchase Saltuna. It's a two-pronged approach. The first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended. In the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. These days it's overrun with marauders and raptidons. Saying what, which way? That's just what it's called. It's supposed to stand for something, but I forget what. Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. So taciturn, so dour. I'll be waiting with bated breath. You're just as rigid as the old executive committee. Why, we've hardly been able to get a clear message out until recently. It isn't easy keeping a town like Stellar Bay afloat, especially without the board's backing. We need that frequency to reach our trading partners. Indeed. That's why it's imperative that MSI be reinstated onto the board. If we can find proof that one of the companies on the board is also active on Monarch, that'll give me all the leverage I need. And the first step is getting the Bolt 52. And the bill of liquidation/transfer Form 52 is one of the most formidable pieces of data entry in all of Halcyon. One false stroke can invalidate the entire document. For our part, a bill of liquidation/transfer Form 52 will protect our holdings on Monarch by temporarily assigning them to a pass-through entity once we drop our bomb on the board. Oh, I imagine you do. But as much as I love your can-do attitude and dangerous gravitas, Catherine handles all of our shipments. That's part of the problem. She has certain ambitions for Stellar Bay. And I fear my asking her would give her the leverage she's been looking for. Once you, subtly work out where this corporate facility might be, bring back proof of its operation. Maybe some nice letterhead. Or someone working there. That would do it. A foolproof plan if I ever heard one. I'll leave the execution to you. Yes, perhaps you can use this for leverage of your own. Look at us, two corporate masterminds. I'll transmit this data along with the completed Bolt 52 right away. After that, we'll sit back and quietly wait for the board to respond. I knew you were the right person for the job. I suppose I'll leave you to it. But if you insist on going, I'd recommend taking a local guide. Nyoka would be a prime candidate. I admire that you can still call forth that wit of yours at a time like this, but I suppose we've no choice. They'll knock our walls down trying to get that module. It looks like this means war. Wait, you can't just leave us to face them alone. Ooh, I just got goosebumps. You really know how to sell that, don't you? I'm afraid we've got to fight them. They'd knock our walls down trying to get that module. I'll lock the south gate to keep them out. You'll have to approach from the north. Good luck. Maybe you could, teach me how you do that. You do mean that, don't you? Or are you just saying that? She's actually quite right about all of that, as much as I hate to admit it. Honestly, one good paper cut will do me in for the day. It's quite magnetic. Of course, they'll be useless without that targeting module, which is why it's critical that you retrieve it. Even if they merely sat on the scraps, the threat of a bunch of anarchists holding a gunship would bring the full wrath of the board down on Monarch. We can't afford that. Can you imagine what those maniacs would do with weapons like that? They'd wreak havoc. What is important is that there's a considerable distance between us and that ship, and most of it is inhabited by marauders and raptidons. Do you just think of these things in the moment, or do you write them down and save them for later? They're very good. Good, because we haven't a moment to lose. Oh, it is. And that's not saying anything about the sulfur pits, the mantisaurs, the iconoclast rebels. Celia, do we have any pep pills? I'm feeling lightheaded. Oh, well, I suppose you see our predicament. Oh, I can play along. What I've got here is a town full of yellow-bellied corporate cast-offs who wouldn't know a stun baton from a slide rule. How is that? Oh. Okay. Wow! Thanks, Thank you. I can work on it. I could work on a brief, if you think it would help your case. Good. I'm still working on that brief you asked for. It's coming along quite nicely, but I suspect it'll take a few weeks more to get the data together. Excellent! I'll get to it straight away. It'll be a few weeks before it's ready, but one can't put a price on quality work. Yes, that's probably for the best. Well, it would make them more peaceful. But I suppose you have a point. Not now, Celia. Between our reinstatement on the board and the gain of this ship, we'll usher in a new age of prosperity for the people of Monarch. And perhaps in time, I can use my position on the board to turn things around for the rest of Halcyon. I shall. Perhaps I'll write you a brief. You really mean that? That's the nicest. Celia, put that down in today's minutes. Yes, I don't mean to keep you. Yes. The words in those reviews were very hurtful, but they do not define me. I am a mantipillar, and my will is my cocoon. I can emerge and become whatever I wish. Normally, I'd find this kind of talk from you quite invigorating. But this is a difficult moment for me. Still, perhaps you have a point. I don't like the idea that they'll be trying for that module while we delay. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Very well. I can't promise anything, but let's see what we have here. Well, it seems like she's actually very qualified. I wasn't expecting to say this, but if you can put her in charge and convince her to agree to a meeting, I'd be willing to discuss terms. I wasn't expecting to say this, but if you can convince her to agree to a meeting, I'd be willing to discuss terms. You weren't supposed to look. I asked you to delete it. This has been my albatross. The great shame of my career. Not this again. Well, I didn't ask for a performance review, did I? How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins? Did you hear that power play, Celia? They don't make them like this anymore in Halcyon. Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous. Yes, that's it. Channel your anger. I only wish I could do the same. Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to this particular letdown. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board. Oh, a shame. I'd been saving a bottle of iceberg-aged whiskey for an occasion like this. On our terms, mind you. I suppose that means you aren't here for the salt tuna. Well, You don't have to rub it in. Not long, but the devil is always in the details. With a Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting with the Bolt 52, we won't need to advertise anymore. We can stop our transmissions altogether. It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended. What a notion! We want to rejoin the board, to our betterment and theirs. And my plan involves a two-pronged approach, the first part of which is seeing Stellar Bay properly defended. Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance. An ordnance, of course. We do things in a civilized fashion here, not like Graham's iconoclasts. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you just crawled out from under a rock. Forms and procedures are everything in Halcyon. Good enough. I know when to settle. And these days, it's overrun with marauders and raptidons. I'll need to gather some supplemental materials, but I mustn't get ahead of myself. And the salient detail here is a Bolt 52 cartridge. My, you know how to take control of a situation, don't you? You're so dangerous. So unbridled. It's warm in here. Is anyone else warm? Have you any idea how powerful this is? Corporations have been toppled with less. Corporate espionage. How was that, Celia? Did I sell it? Celia, so it would be best if you could leave her in one piece. Is that how you people put it? If we can find proof, I can use that as leverage to encourage certain powers that be to accept our Bolt 52 and reinstate us on the board. Getting ahead of myself again. I admit I've been hatching this scheme for quite some time. I just needed someone capable to help me carry it out. You really think so? If someone is operating here, then they're almost certainly being supplied by sublight out of Fallbrook. Of course. I didn't mean to make assumptions. Oh, she's not fun scary like you, just scary. But that's why you'll be equipped to handle her. We really don't need to discuss this now, Celia. Well, I'll leave you to it. Right, getting ahead of myself. Unfortunately, I've heard Catherine has met with a mishap. Nevertheless, I'm sure she would have records in Fallbrook. The world isn't changed with guns and speeches, much as Graham and his followers would like to think, but rather with meticulous documentation. See, that doesn't even make sense. This is an electronic form. We don't need paperweights. Sort of. Really, we're just going to blackmail them into offering us a seat at the table. That's what I like to hear. Did you? I'd have to check our meeting minutes. Excellent timing on your part. I worked my fingers to nubs, but I've finally completed the Bolt 52 form. I dare say it will be my second greatest achievement after the Reformations. So I am. Do you have this cartridge? Already? If only the rest of the colony operated as efficiently as you. Imagine what a different state we'd be in. That's just cruel. And inefficient. I'll complete the Bolt 52 in no time. I dare say it'll be my second greatest achievement after the Reformations. I'm working on a plan to reorganize the board. Slowly, peacefully, and with meticulous documentation. I've been consumed with other matters of late, but I would have dealt with them eventually. Still, your intervention in the matter is much appreciated. Please consider this payment for your services. Oh, yes. No doubt someone else was having a laugh at my expense before you. I didn't mean for any harm to come to you. Yes, but then you would have known. I give MSI everything. My work, my youth, my left kidney, and for years. I was a joke to them. I thought volunteering to donate might improve my prospects. Apparently not. In charge of a scrap heap of a city. Abandoned by the board and surviving only through the hypocrisy of our trading partners. No, I am a company man. Oh, perhaps they were right. After all, what have I built? Stellar Bay is barely keeping afloat. I hadn't thought of it that way. But perhaps there's something to that. Thank you for that. Was there something else? Please, I can't think about this right now. Celia, schedule 30 minutes of inconsolable weeping later today. Now. Was there something else you need? But that all comes later. First, I need to submit the Bolt 52. With that data you're holding, of course. That seems unnecessarily complicated. Now I'm confused. Do you have evidence against UDL or not? You too. But where I wanted to reform MSI, he only wanted to take it apart. as if starving in the wilderness is somehow better than starving under corporate mismanagement. He won't hear reason now, and I wouldn't trust him again. I don't think there's anything we can do. But it was a good effort on your part. Besides, if you think her skills will complement mine, then we should see what those skills are. I'm sorry, who? Ah, them. Oh, that C3. They're hardly a corporation. More like a jumped-up band of thugs with certain pretensions. The evidence I'm hoping for would implicate one of the board powers. Anti-Cleos, Spacer's Choice, UDL, someone of that caliber. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now. Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious. Freedom always sounds nice, doesn't it? It makes a rather pretty slogan. But if you sit down and tally up the costs, how you provide for yourself in the absence of aid, how you protect yourself from a hostile galaxy, it starts to lose its shine. I have people to look after. I need to be practical. Yes, freedom is a tempting ideal, but a rather costly paramour. Surviving alone isn't as easy as it looks. Many problems, but they can all be solved with a Bolt 52 cartridge. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon. I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws. Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. But back then, it was known as Terra 1. It's true, the board has treated us unfairly, but I'd always envisioned that things could be different. Really? I always thought they were refreshingly straightforward names. After all, the whole point of terraforming was to make them Earth-like, and as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out. Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to, but there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up. It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms. MSI's leadership at the time certainly thought so. That's also what I thought. Oh, we were young and bold then. Not unlike yourself. We saw the chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI. From the ground up. No, they laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2, along with everyone else. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages. Nonsense! They're good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out, Oh, well, there were surely other junior executives with more open minds, though none of them had the temperament to handle the paperwork. Very well. Many years ago, Graham Bryant and I used to be collaborators, of sorts. That's what I thought. But the senior executives laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else. I don't know. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently. I don't think I realized how far they'd stoop. But we weren't trying to. As I hear it, you two are already well acquainted. He and his followers call themselves the Iconoclasts. Lawless anarchists, all of them. If anyone on Monarch deserves the reputation the board's pinned on us, it's them. But you already know that, don't you? I'm trying to build something here. They only want to destroy things, and they risk ruining Monarch for all of us. It isn't just that they drain our people and resources. A chance! They've been doing this for years. And well, let's just say I know enough about Graham to be confident that he won't change. He's lucky the board doesn't take him seriously enough to keep more than a few UDL gunships patrolling Monarch. I'm glad you see it too. Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon. To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community. And being cut off means slow strangulation. I'm not a man to put pride before progress. I fear the MSI citizens who've been dissolved into Raptidon Cud would disagree with you. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Indeed. We've got to consider realities, not ideals. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship. Indeed. Yes. It'll be easier to explain once we have the Bolt 52. I've discovered it's much easier to negotiate from a position of power. And I don't mean to leave MSI or its people at a disadvantage. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations. Oh, believe me, I've learned that much. But I'm also not going to leave MSI at a disadvantage. Anyway, what can I do for you? MSI's then leadership wasn't enthusiastic. They insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else. Is there something else I can do for you? Technically, that may be true, but he couldn't be bothered to do the necessary paperwork to exploit it, now could he? Anyway, it didn't matter at the time. MSI's then leadership insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else. Out at Devil's Peak? If you're headed that far, I see you've brought the right woman for the job. Celia, this is wretched. All our best efforts for naught. Reforms are humane, but they're also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous. For the greater good. Allegedly. Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way. Monarch may be dangerous, but it's hardly the wasteland the board describes it to be. Whatever the board's goals, the greater good has little part in them. I'm all for reasonable regulations, but the board hasn't demonstrated the kind of peril that justifies cordoning off an entire planet. Much as I hate to say it, the board's leadership can be incredibly short-sighted at times. So you've heard about our prior acquaintance. It was a lapse in judgment on my part, and one I'm not keen to recall. Graham seemed like a reasonable man years ago. Now, we both agreed that MSI's treatment of its workers was untenable. I thought reforms would be enough. I didn't realize you wanted to abolish the corporate system entirely. As far as I'm concerned, the less said about Graham, the better. But I was keeping my tone flat and maintaining eye contact. You weren't supposed to notice I was avoiding the subject. Indeed. For all the good it did. Graham Bryant. He leads a group of extremists out in Amber Heights. But he used to be as much a part of the corporate machinery as any of us. Much as he likes to forget it. Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. In a manner of speaking, many of us stayed behind, in an act of quiet but firm defiance. As the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. Many of us chose to stay behind. And as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. Well, technically, he may have suggested it, but he certainly wasn't doing the paperwork himself. Technically, he does. What exactly are you accusing me of? Until we're back on the board, I need to run those advertisements. If there's no business on Monarch, then we all starve. Hiram included. Very well. Was there something else? Besides, Graham's the one you should really be concerned about. His propaganda does nothing but crowd the frequency. Indeed, I see. And was his delivery of the MSI-authorized greeting up to snuff? Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. He's not the brightest of minds, but he makes up for it with enthusiasm. Still, I had him posted on the landing pad in hopes that he'd stay out of everyone's way. I'll see about additional training. If there's one thing I've been hoping to re-establish in Stellar Bay, it's proper documentation for legal matters. Always a shame when tempers get the better of good sense. Live and learn, I suppose. Celia, I do hope you're taking notes. I've got to remember some of these quips. Of course I would have. I hadn't thought of it that way. Perhaps you have a point. Stellar Bay will be as secure as any other settlement in Halcyon. Well, surely you don't mean that. I thought we were in this together. Like a team. I'm the dashing mastermind with a head for numbers, and you're my roguish sidekick who always gets the job done. And you're just a little bit smitten with me, but won't admit it. The board's own salvage and recovery clause 32B would say differently. Oh, I've known their ilk long enough. This would be more than a shakeup. That's surprising. The board's equipment is usually in top shape. After all, they have first access to any fresh parts or components. A conspiracy? You've spent too much time around Graham. Do you think so? I always thought scarcities on Monarch were due to our pariah status. If there's anyone I wouldn't expect a slip like this from, it's UDL. Help us with this final matter and we won't need to broadcast anymore. You have my word. You have my word. I knew you'd understand. Very well. That's a much more concise way of putting it. I used to be young and idealistic too, but you can't run a city on high-minded ideals. One of the executives required a transplant. Now, there's no need to use that sultry tone with me. Hiram understands the way things are. After all, he has his own contacts on the board. I suppose you're right. Graham's always had a way with words. Strange as it may seem, I suspect he'd have quite the corporate career if he weren't so radical. What else can I do for you? I don't understand. Where is it? Is this about the Bolt 52? Please, I wasn't trying to mislead you. Anyway, I don't think I can handle this back and forth. I'm used to crushing disappointment, but not after having reason to hope. That makes it all considerably worse. Your concern is most touching, but not to worry. I've been preparing years for this. How charmingly quaint. But this is an electronic form. No ink need be wasted. Well, it really shouldn't be. Electronic data is much easier to disseminate, but I digress. That's what my old bosses were always telling me. Oh, you're kind. But you wouldn't say that if you saw our balance sheets. Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes. Oh, don't worry on my account. This is merely the latest in a long line of professional erotic and athletic disappointments. Yes, it's as though the good vicar has plucked the very words from my brain. That's precisely what I'm trying to do. But we can't continue to subsist like this either. Indeed not. No worthwhile plan was ever simple. That's what I always say. Not if we secure the proper safeguards first. What a charmingly roguish turn of phrase. Allow me to express my thanks at your confidence and assure you that my plan is indeed sufficiently complicated. It is quite the rush. Sorry, Celia's always chiding me about my word choice. I shall endeavor to employ simpler verbiage. On the contrary, I would say good documentation is for everyone. Oh, what's your plan? Well, by that point, my hope is that we'll be on the board once more. Indeed. Everything starts with good documentation. But that's entirely the point. We've got to hope. We have got to partake once more of the full resources and opportunities of Halcyon. You can't build anything that way. What's the point? Once MSI is restored, the people of Monarch will be able to make more choices. We'll have all the brands and resources of the board here. A so-called hostile takeover. A daring notion, but often an expensive one, and fraught with unforeseen consequences. Never fear, I plan on wording our forms very strongly. My sincerest hope is for MSI to become a model for all of Halcyon. But we must start somewhere. Nonsense! There's nothing more invigorating than a well-developed 10-year plan. But truly, I am getting ahead of myself. First, I need to submit the Bolt 52, with that data you're holding, of course. Was there anything else? As you may have noticed, this planet has more than its share of hazards. Sharp as ever, Nyoka. Most regard Monarch as a lost cause. That's yet to be determined. A noble thought, Miss Holcomb. Unfortunately, noble thoughts rarely sway board policy. I understand the sentiment, but if we can't rely on some sort of framework, then what do we have? On the contrary, I wrote lots of very important reports on behalf of top MSI officials before I was able to achieve this position. I'm afraid the welfare of a few hundred people is too minor a figure into the board's risk assessments. That's exactly how the board describes it. They would say it's for the greater good. Well, be careful what you wish for. Graham has a habit of ruining everything and everyone around him. Shall I begin with the supply shortages or the subtle but constant threat of annihilation? It's absolutely foolproof. You see our quandary then. The board would consider us complicit in any of their folly. That would only get us ousted again. He wouldn't hear reason, and I doubt any of his successors will either. Quite well, actually. It's astounding how much our quality of life has improved without Graham's lunatics breathing down our necks. Quite well, as a matter of fact. Zora is proving most capable. Believe me, you've got your work cut out for you there. You should see the way she pounds the table and gets straight to the point. It makes for some rather exhilarating meetings. I know I had my concerns initially, but your instincts were right. Zora and her compatriots have become valuable and productive members of our community. Our residents are reporting increased productivity during their shifts and improved satisfaction in their leisure time. And since we're back in the board's good graces, we've got real growth prospects to look forward to. It really was on my to-do list. Your friend makes a good point, young man. Nyoka has the right of it. Really? Well, I could have sworn. Well, that's not important. And this one is located in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. The Bolt 52 will be in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. Every radical act they commit cements Halcyon's image of us all as destructive rebels and pushes us further from the rest of the colony. Thank you again for retrieving the Bolt. It's every bit as complex as I'd heard, but I'm up to the challenge. Oh, the data on that cartridge was even more damning than I could have hoped. And to have something on UDL of all the corporations. Well, you're not one for subtlety, are you, my rather exposed friend? And here we have it. The board sends one of their own at last. Now, if we were like the other corporations, you wouldn't be allowed to run around dressed like one of Graham's minions. Well, I see you've had a sobering effect on our friend Nyoka. You should know you're getting excellent reviews from across the company. Reports from my colleagues suggest that you've got some areas for improvement. I'll have Celia write up some notes. Be careful with your new friends in Amber Heights. They're not the most reliable types. I see the iconoclasts have expanded their quarrel to include you. Ah, fractious bunch, aren't they? A fine day for business, isn't it? Aha! The helpful stranger I've heard so much about. Here to do business, hmm? I see Stellar Bay's new troublemaker has found us at last. Ready to set our differences aside and do business, I see, hmm? Well, new business turns up at last. If the iconoclasts reach that ship first, there won't be any chance for a peaceful monarch. Sorry. I'm not very good at rousing speeches. I'll meet Zora directly. I'm just collecting myself. Any luck bringing the iconoclast to the bargaining table? You're back! And in one piece. Does this mean I mean we, won? Things are looking up for Monarch, that's for certain. I must thank you for your excellent recommendation regarding Zora. She's most capable. It's an appealing offer, but I must regretfully decline. MSI frowns on fraternizing during work hours, and I have an example to set. Forgive me, Celia. I couldn't help myself. You've given us quite the advantage, but we're better than that. See? Oh, I knew the sweet smells of profits and nutrient-dense Piscine product would lure you back before long. Oh, poor Celia. She truly was the beating heart of MSI. Stellar Bay is safe and sound since you handled the iconoclast threat. The master negotiator! Come to see your handiwork, I'm sure.
Hiram? Can you hear me? Did you see that? Yes, but, well, this is something of an emergency. Not without a physical contact waiver. Are you mad? That's a UDL gunship. You'd probably shoot your own toes off. The vessel that just went down is a UDL gunship, one of the most formidable offensive ships short of an Earth Directorate assault cruiser. If you can help us with this, there will certainly be payment for you. We could use the gunship's armaments to defend Stellar Bay, but we need its targeting module. That gunship is carrying some of the most powerful weaponry in Halcyon. You can't let the iconoclasts get their hands on it. Can anyone hear me? A UDL gunship just went down. Where's Hiram? He must have seen this. I missed that. You seem to be cutting out. I dearly hope so. Somehow your rugged allure doesn't quite come through over the radio. Still, I'm hoping you can help MSI with that ship. I dearly hope I'm not the only one who saw that. Celia thinks I'm overdoing it with the pep pills. Yes, that would be it. Where's Hiram? He may be able to tell us something more. Please, get to the ship and retrieve it. I've sent my own people, but the remaining iconoclasts are rallying. If they get that weaponry, they'll undo all we've worked for. I was hoping Hiram had more information on that ship. Where is he?
All right, MSI. I'm not one for rousing speeches, but the captain needs our help. So get in there and fight!
We got casualties! We lost one! We lost one! Need backup! I got a body here! I got a body here! I got a body here! Got a body here! Got a body here! Got a body here! Someone's here! Hunt them down! 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 They got one of ours! Find them! They got one of ours! Find them! Someone's here! Keep your sights out! Someone's here! Keep your sights out! Somebody! Help! Somebody! Help! Somebody! Help! They're trying to kill me! They're trying to kill me! They're trying to kill me! I am not dying today! I am not dying today! I am not dying today! I am gonna put you down! 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 Thought I'd just roll over and die, huh? Thought I'd just roll over and die! Thought I'd just roll over and die! Thought I'd just roll over and die? Bring 'em down! Bring 'em down! You asked for this! You asked for this! You asked for this! You broke your last regulation! No more games! I warned you, Rungleech! I warned you, Rungleech! I've had it with you! That's it! You asked for it! I'm gonna need a 0G after that! I'm gonna need a 0G after that! I'm gonna need a 0G after that! Is it over? Did we win? Is it over? Did we win? Is it over? Did we win? Dissident trash! Dissident trash! Your execution brought to you by UDL! Your execution brought to you by UDL! Taste the freedom, asshole! Taste the freedom, asshole! You're not worth the paperwork! You're not worth the paperwork! Please! I don't want to die! 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 Look sharp! They could be anywhere! They're on the run! After them! Ah, hell! Where'd you go? Ah, hell! Where'd you go? Damn it! Anybody got eyes on him? Ah, damn it! Anyone got eyes on him? Ah, damn it! Anybody got eyes on him? Freeze! Freeze! Found him! Found him! I've got eyes on him! I've got eyes on him! Hey! I saw that! Hey, I saw that! Hey! I saw that! Hey! That's against regulation! 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 Stop! 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 You! Stop! Halt! Halt! Don't try to run! Don't try to run! Stop resisting arrest! Get your hand out of there! Get your hand out of there! Stay away! Stay away! Stay away! Stay away! Stay away! Stay away! No! Don't do this! No! Don't do this! No! Don't do this! No! Don't do this! Everybody get down! Everybody get down!
What can I do for you?
Freeze!
Thanks for the bits, friend. Thanks for the bits, friend. Carry on. Carry on. Do what you want, I guess. Do what you want, I guess. Do what you want, I guess. Just keep your fingers to your own self, okay?
Just keep your fingers to your own self, okay? Just keep your fingers to your own self, okay?
Keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. Yeah, move along. Yeah, move along. Don't test me, rung leech. Don't test me, rung leech. Miscreant eliminated. Ha! Ah! Yeah! Ah! Ah! Yeah! Ah! 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 Ha! Ah! 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 Keep your shoulders up. Keep your shoulders up. Looking good, soldier. Keep your eye out for dissidents. Keep your eyes out for dissidents. Keep your eye out for dissidents. Soldier, soldier, soldier. Got a promotion coming. I can feel it. Got a promotion coming. I can feel it. You get tired of patrolling, just go rough somebody up. You get tired of patrolling? Just go rough somebody up. Got your paperwork squared away? Got your paperwork squared away? Ah! Oh, it burns! Oh, I'm bleeding! Ah, I'm bleeding! Ah, my eyes! Ah! Ah! My legs! Shit! Fuck! Ah! My arm!
Put that away! You're making me nervous! Put that away! You're making me nervous! Put that away! You're making me nervous! You think you're tough, waving that thing around? You think you're tough, waving that thing around?
Oh, put that damn thing away! Put that damn thing away! Poor trigger discipline is a punishable offense. Poor trigger discipline is a punishable offense. You don't want to push me, rung leech. You don't want to push me, rung leech.